Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another Kano Tryharding Modern. Now, today, you should notice my camera's at a different angle. That's because I've made it back to my original setup, way out in the middle of nowhere, Utah. Now, I've done. There's a picture of it on the Discord. I'm not going to show it off here, mainly because I'm not exactly certain how. But we've updated the setup so that Porter can't knock over the green screen setup, and it's got. We've got clothes hangers hanging from ceilings, daisy chained to a bar from the rack holding up the green screen sideways, which is held up with other clothes hangers with clips on them, zip tied so that they don't slip out of position. I got cardboard nailed to the ceiling. This setup is really interesting, is how I'm going to put it politely, but it is awesome because Porter can walk all around it and it won't disturb it, and I have about double the field of view. It's pretty great. Anyway, that's enough of me being weird. Let's go ahead and play some Amulet Titan, shall we? So, this list is hilarious. Well, not hilarious. It's better than the hilarious list because we don't have the 61-card Ulvenwald Hydra special. This is a more traditional Amulet Titan list, and I think it's interesting to me that this version still plays Slayer Stronghold as opposed to Hanweir Garrison, but Slayer Stronghold does provide a power pump, which does matter if you're doing Sunhome double strike, lethal shenanigans. This version does not play Turntimber Symbiosis because I don't have Turntimber Symbiosis, so that's the main reason. But this was a recent 5.0 list, and let's see what we can do with it, huh? Make sure I'm queuing up with the right deck. That would be tragedy if I wasn't. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting getting back in the groove here. Ooh, if we had a single non-bounce land, this hand would be very good. But I've got to mulligan that. Alright. Also, I love the Kaldheim basics. I know a lot of people prefer other arts and stuff, but I love the Kaldheim basics, and I'm just kind of sad they're not full art, though. So we don't really have any ramp, necessarily, with this hand. I still think I'm gonna keep this and kind of rely on some top decks here, because we are on the draw. I'm gonna put back Summoner's Pact. Even though that's possibly my strongest spell, being a tutor. Oh, there he goes. I don't know if anybody saw that, but Porter just walked around the edge. Probably got a nice shot of Labrador butt. So let's start Forest, Amulet of Vigor. Pass the turn. Okay, we draw another Karn, Great Creator. So play Castle Garenbrig. Pass the turn. I may put down Cavern on Nymph or Dryad so that I can play Dryad of the Elysian Grove. We'd be looking to pick up Cavern and replay it on Giant for Primeval Titan. We appear to be against Uro Omnath, I imagine, because it looks to be Teamer, possibly even 4-color. Prismatic Vista tells me it's probably 4-color. Okay, we draw an Explorer. So play Cavern, name Dryad. We did end up keeping a slow hand, basically because we haven't drawn a bounce land. If we draw a bounce land, we can do some pretty fun shenanigans, I think. Well, if we draw a bounce land, we do have Primeval Titan mana. Okay, opponent plays another Uro. Gains more life. Does not put a land into play. Oh, we're against Aspiring Spike. I'm just now realizing this. This is being the first video coming back from recording. It's kind of a big change of pace. Okay, we draw a Grazer. So we're gonna cast Explore. This feels bad. Okay, we get another Cavern. Play Cavern named Giant. And I guess I'm going to attack for 2. Okay, opponent bolts. And bolts. Alright, that does suck, because that means we can't go for the just straight up Valakut kill. But, okay, opponent is recasting Uro from the grave. If we draw a bounce land, or any land for that matter, we can cast Primeval Titan. It's just whether or not we can do so uncounterably. But with my opponent having no untapped blue mana, it doesn't really seem to matter. So, play Growth Chamber, untap it, float mana, bounce Growth Chamber, play Primeval Titan for 6 green mana. Let's go get Boros Garrison and Slayer's Stronghold. Okay. Untap both of them. Give Primeval Titan haste and vigilance. Okay, we're going to bounce, I think, just the forest here. Oh, I definitely tapped for that wrong, because if I could play Grazer, I could get an additional couple of mana here. Go to combat. Attack for 8. We will use Primeval Titan's ability. Let's get... We have 1, 2, 3... Oh, yeah, I definitely picked up the wrong lands. We're going to get... If I get Sunhome Vesuva, I can't activate Sunhome, unfortunately, because I tapped everything wrong and didn't play right, but that's okay. We can instead get Field of the Dead, and... Because I'm looking to play Karn this turn, basically. So what we need to do is we need to get... actually, if we get a couple of bounce lands, I think that would be ideal. So if we get, like, Selesnya Sanctuary and Groll Turf, untap both of them, bounce our tapped Cavern, bounce Slayer's Stronghold. Okay. Opponent does block. They're going to take 2 over the top. That's fine. Second main, play Grazer, put a Growth Chamber into play tapped, untap it, float mana, bounce Growth Chamber, play Karn, Wish for Liquid Metal Coating, play Coating, pass the turn. On my opponent's upkeep, shut off Ketria Triome. Now, I definitely had a stronger turn than the one that I just played, like, almost no doubt by a mile. But I think we've navigated into a somewhat acceptable outcome. Like, it's not ideal, but... Okay, we have a second Karn, so that's okay. Unless my opponent has a counterspell. Draw Grazer. Play Karn. Opponent remands. Okay. Play Karn. And I think I'm going to destroy Field of the Dead before my opponent can start making tokens. I can play Grazer just to get more stuff onto the board. I don't know if that's necessary, though. I think we just play Forest here and pass. Let me take a look at my sideboard. I can get, like, Walking Ballista or Wormcoil Engine and cast it uncounterably. I can give it haste, too, if I want. Okay, opponent plays Scalding Tarn, cracks Scalding Tarn, gets a Breeding Pool. It looks like my opponent's probably recasting Uro here. Oh, they have Primeval Titan. So this is, like, Teamer Uro, then? I think, technically. So it might be time for Ensnaring Bridge. Okay, we untap. Draw Breeding Pool. Not really what I wanted to see. Yeah, I think it's time for Ensnaring Bridge. I could get Walking Ballista and play probably a pretty big Walking Ballista. Okay, let's go ahead and Wish. Get Ensnaring Bridge. Play Slayer's Stronghold. Play Bridge. Play Grazer. Put out a Breeding Pool tapped. It gets untapped. Pass the turn. This way we can use Slayer's Stronghold to actually pump a Arboreal Grazer. Okay, on my opponent's upkeep, I'm going to shut off the Triome, I guess. I hope, this is one other thing I haven't mentioned, I hope that my vocal volume is okay. The mic is in a different position. It's technically further away from my face, but it's so much more comfortable. I have it hanging from the ceiling with this really janky setup involving C-clamps, plywood, and bungee cords. So, it's very solid, though. Good redneck engineering, I believe. Porter, that's enough licking. That sounds gross. Alright, opponent plays a Wren and 6. Deals 1 damage to Karn. Goes to combat. No attacks. Alright, we untap. On our upkeep, they're going to Lightning Bolt Karn. Wow, they've just drawn all their bolts, haven't they? We draw an Explore. So start by casting Explore. We get another Karn, though, I guess, which is fine. Play Karn. So what do we want here? I unfortunately can't play a huge Walking Ballista, but I can still play a pretty decent size one. I haven't played any lands yet this turn, which means I still can play 2 lands. Alright, let's get Walking Ballista. Play Growth Chamber. Untap it. Float mana. Pick up Growth Chamber. Play Cavern. Name Construct. Activate Castle Garenbrig. Add green Construct creature mana. Play Walking Ballista as a 4/4. Ping down Wrenn and 6. Alright, pass the turn. Stop on my opponent's upkeep. Shut off Ketria Triome. 5 mana. 4 mana. Okay, opponent recasts Uro. Gains some life, draws a card. Puts a Reflecting Pool into play. Gets a zombie. Plays an Invasion of the Giants. Clever. Invasion of the Giants for Primeval Titan and Uro. Giant spells you cast cost 2 less to cast. Alright. Okay, opponent passes. We untap. We draw Growth Chamber. Alright, okay. Let me think here. Not really anything else to wish for. So I guess I'm just going to start blowing up lands. Put a 1/1 counter on Ballista. Put a 1/1 counter on Ballista. Play Growth Chamber. Untap Growth Chamber. Float mana. I guess we'll just bounce the Forest. Counter on Ballista. Problem is, these zombies are going to be able to attack. Alright, pass the turn. And they're going to be able to attack in such a way that we may not be able to stop all of them. No, we can block 3 of them and ping down the 4th one, so that's actually fine. Oh no, because the 2 damage can go to Karn here. Opponent reveals Primeval Titan. Oh joy. Opponent's deck seems pretty sick. Alright. Opponent goes to combat. Everything at Karn. Block. 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 Okay. Ping. Ping. Slayer Stronghold here. Okay, opponent is casting another Primeval Titan. Gets some fetch lands and plays another Invasion of the Giants. Oh man. Scry 2. Alright, we untap. We draw. Land. Why can I not? Why do I only draw lands here? Why is that the thing that's happening, huh? Alright. I'm actually gonna blow up a fetch land. Play Snow-Covered Forest. Activate Castle Garenbrig. Put a counter on Ballista. Put a counter on Ballista. Put a counter on Ballista. Alright. Pass the turn. I mean, in theory, we could potentially make Ballista big enough to kill my opponent, though that's very unlikely with how much life they can gain. Okay, the next giant they cast costs 2 less. They can do 2 damage to Karn if they want. So now if they have a Renin 6, they could ping Karn down. They revealed another Primeval Titan. You know, my opponent has drawn a lot more Primeval Titans than we have. Alright, they play Renin 6, so away goes Karn. Oh, they're going to pick up Field of the Dead. Okay. They play Field, get a zombie. Play Primeval Titan. Get a bunch more zombies. Like a lot more zombies. Okay. We are going to ping down Renin 6. We untap. We draw. Dryad of the Elysian Grove. Alright, blow up field. Opponent might fetch just to get an additional zombie. Yep. Blow up field. Play Dryad. Porter, stop it. Opponent remands just to draw. Okay. Activate Castle. Play Sanctuary. Untap it. Float mana. Bounce Forest. Play Forest. Put a counter. Put a counter. And put a counter. Now pass. We just really have to hope they don't have like a cryptic command. So if they can find a cryptic command, probably just toast. Although, if we can hit a Primeval Titan or a Summoner's Pact or anything like that, we're going to absolutely obliterate them because we're just going to go get a ton of Valakuts and kill them. Alright, they reduce the cost of Giants this turn. They go to combat. They pass. We untap. We draw a Valakut. Okay. So, play Valakut. Shoot our opponent. Untap it. Play Growth Chamber. Shoot our opponent. Untap Growth Chamber. So one thing I'm going to do is right away I'm going to put a counter on Ballista. And then I'm going to pick up a Forest, I think. I could have picked up a Bounce Land there, and that was probably better. So activate... whoops. Activate Walking Ballista. Activate Walking Ballista. Activate Walking Ballista. Blow up a land. Yeah, I think if I actually had kept the a bounce land, I could do more damage next turn, but that's only relevant if they can gain life. We still couldn't have killed them this turn. Okay, opponent on taps. Man, the lag is kind of unimaginable right now. Okay, opponent plays Uro, they get to draw, gain life. We're basically hoping for no cryptic command. Another invasion. They remand it. They play invasion. Go scrying. I technically missed an activation on Ballista by keeping up Garrison Stronghold, which I didn't need to do, because I had 1 mana floating. Okay, we draw a Summoner's Pact. That should do it. Cast Summoner's Pact. Okay, opponent Force of Negations, pitching Force of Negation. Play a land. Shoot our opponent. I could wish for a Relic of Progenitus. Okay, pump up Ballista. Pump up Ballista. Pump up Ballista. pump up Ballista. And pump up Ballista. Then we're going to blow up a land. Pass the turn. And now if we untap, we win. And I'm definitely going to have to restart the client between matches because it is lagging so bad. And we only have 8 minutes to play games 2 and 3. Okay, opponent growth spirals. Puts a Mystic Sanctuary into play, putting Lightning Bolt on top of their deck. They get to draw Lightning Bolt. Yep, there it is. Alright. I mean, I guess technically we're not dead, but... We're not potentially dead. Oh, they tapped out all of our creatures. So I could kill a number of their attackers, but I can't actually stop them from killing us. Okay, so in this matchup, what the heck do we want here? I think I actually want this Uro in the deck. And I probably want to go down maybe like a Karn. Actually, I need to restart the client. Hang on. Hold, please. Okay, what was I saying? I definitely want, I think, an Uro in this deck. Like, Dismember doesn't really make a difference. Force of Vigor probably not either. Maybe I want Ghost Quarter, but... And I think I'm going to cut an Ancient Stirrings. We're going to try it like this. Alright, I'd like to play first, and I gotta play fast. That's a mulligan. This, I think, is a keep. So I have to put back a card. I'm going to put back Valakut. Okay, start Cavern on Beast. Play Grazer. Put a Growth Chamber into play. Pick up Cavern, pass the turn. We untap. Opponent starts Mystic Sanctuary. We draw Karn. So play Cavern. Name Giant. Play Uro. Draw a card, gain some life, put Castle into play. Pass the turn. Opponent plays an island, passes. We draw a forest. Play Amulet. Opponent remands Amulet. Play a forest. Play Karn. Wish for Liquid Metal Coating. Pass the turn. Okay, opponent plays a Scalding Tarn, cracks Scalding Tarn. Gets a Stomping Ground untapped. Growth Spiral. Putting nothing into play and concedes. Cool. Run it back. We will be on the draw this time. I can tell you that my opponent is probably a much better Magic player than I am because, one, they are a modern tournament grinder, so they, just by virtue of playing more Magic, are probably better than by default. Their deck's also super sick, and I love it. Alright, I'm gonna keep this. It's not ultra fantastic, but it's something. Okay, opponent starts Steam Vents tapped. We draw Amulet of Vigor. Play Windswept Teeth, crack Windswept Teeth, get a Forest, play Amulet. So, alright, I was gonna say if Amulet resolved, what we could do is play Sanctuary, float mana, play Grazer, float mana, and then play Karn. We get a Field of the Dead. So... play Selesnya Sanctuary, pick up the Forest, play Grazer, put Field of the Dead into play, pass the turn. Opponent plays a Island into an Uro, gain some life, draw a card, put a Scalding Tarn into play, passes. We untap, we draw Radiant Fountain, play Radiant Fountain, gain some life, play Karn. We are going to wish for coding here. If they have a Lightning Bolt, we want them to use it. I could have actually upticked Karn here, no targets, and played around a single Lightning Bolt. I think with the second Karn in hand, though, it's fine. Even though we can't play Liquid Metal Coating and Karn in the same turn next turn. I could have actually wished for Amulet, too. Something that I need to be aware of, though I'm not saying it was the right thing to do there. For some reason, it looks like I got way quieter all of a sudden. If I did, my apologies. Alright, we're going to play Forest. then play Coding. We're playing around Mana Leak. Try and hit Triome here. Alright. Pass the turn. Just gonna start blowing up lands. My opponent will be able to... Alright, put that on the bottom, I guess. My opponent will be able to get back an Uro here. Okay, they fetch up a Breeding Pool. They shock. Play a Scalding Tarn. Fetch with Scalding Tarn. They find... Mystic Sanctuary. They're going to put Mystic Sanctuary on top of their deck, but only after... Or they're going to put Aether Gust on top of their deck. So they're going to play Uro and then draw Aether Gust. Okay. So they draw Aether Gust. They put a Misty into play. And they pass. We untap. Draw Crumbling Vestige. Crap. So we know they're holding an Aether Gust. Maybe we just wish for and then play Wormcoil. Is that the play? That might be the play. Actually, I think... Well, no, we can't really attack our opponent's mana base with an Uro. I'm going to try playing this conservatively. We're going to get the Ensnaring Bridge again. Play out Selesnya Sanctuary, pick up Radiant Fountain. Pass the turn. We'll stop on my opponent's upkeep and shut off their red mana. Unless they get a second red source, in which case it won't matter what we shut off. They do. Okay. This opponent has Aether Gust, 2 unknowns in hand. We untap. Draw another Summoner's Pact. So blow up Steam Vents. Okay. Pass to second main, so they lose their mana. Cast Summoner's Pact. Yeah, get Primeval Titan. Play Primeval Titan. I'm expecting an Aether Gust. Yep. Put it on top. Play a Radiant Fountain. Pass the turn. We're gonna spend all of our mana on our upkeep. Well, a lot of it anyway. On a Growth Spirals. Okay, we gotta pay mana or lose the game. Alright, we draw. Prime time. Blow up their mana. Play Crumbling Vestige. Add doesn't matter. Pass the turn. We're just about to victory. Just about. We get an Amulet. So, shut off Breeding Pool. Blow up Breeding Pool. Okay, pass to second main. Actually, play Amulet. Play Primeval Titan. They're gonna remand it, that's fine. Pass the turn. We are definitely to the F6 point here, because we are under 3 minutes, so I apologize if the commentary is lacking. Okay, opponent plays red and 6. They pick up a land, they play a Breeding Pool untapped. We untap, draw Cavern. Play Cavern. Name Giant. Play Primeval Titan. Let's go get a Growth Chamber and a Cavern of Souls. Cavern of Souls named Dryad. Stack a bunch of triggers. I hope I can actually win with bounce, Crumbling Vestige, I guess. Blow up a land. I am very quickly running out of time. Yeah, no, I really messed this up. So, pass the turn. What did I do that took so much time? Was I just lagging really bad for a very long game one? Oh shoot, this is only game 2, isn't it? Yeah. No, game 2 I won very quickly. This is game 3, so it is worth trying to win. Alright, we untap. We draw Talaria West. Can't really do anything with that. So, Summoner's Pact. Forces. What can I do here? I think I can win this game, but I don't have enough time to win this game. Alright, well, that could have been a victory. Unfortunately, it was not, and I will see you all in round 2. Alrighty, round 2, here we go. Alright, I'd like to play first. That's not a keepable hand. This one might be. If I keep this, what do I put back? Probably Grazer, actually. I like that Amulet plus Grazer plus Bounce Land is like a 1 mana, 1 mana addition ritual. Kind of like a Rite of Flame without any other Rite of Flames in the grave. Although, much harder to contrive than just casting a sorcery. Yeah, I think my problem is, my biggest problem playing the Amulet Titan deck right now is I do not know what kind of hands I should be keeping. And I had this problem, a similar problem the last time I played this. So if I play this deck in a future Tryharding Modern episode, I will have to try and spend some more reps learning this, or watching other people play, or something. Alright, here we go. So let's start Breeding Pool, Ancient Stirrings. I think we take the Bounce Land. Castle Garenbrig is also tempting. Rest to the bottom, any order. Alright. Pass the turn. Opponent plays Horizon Canopy into a Noble Hierarch. So they could be spirits, they could be humans. Play Cavern. Name Giant. Explore. Play Growth Chamber. Pick up Cavern because it doesn't cost life to replay. Pass the turn. Alright, opponent plays Thalia. That does kind of put a wrench in our plans a little bit. Play Amulet. Oh, I have to pay 2 for Amulet, don't I? Play Field of the Dead. If my opponent hadn't played Thalia, we could have played Cavern. Or we could have played... If my opponent hadn't played Thalia, we would have played Karn, obviously. But if they hadn't have played Thalia, we could have played Amulet, then played Simic Growth Chamber, picking up Breeding Pool, and then had Karn. So opponent gets to attack us for 3. We go down to 15. Karn costs 5, which means we can't really wish for anything good at the moment. So let's start with an Explore. We can play 2 lands. Let's go ahead and play Growth Chamber, untapping it, picking up Field. and then replay field. Untapping field. Pass the turn. Yeah, I know I'm not really diversifying lands for Field of the Dead, but I don't know that we're going to get to that many lands, and if we are, we're already going to win. My opponent just F6 through combat. I'm not sure why. We draw an Arboreal Grazer. So we'll go ahead and play Karn. And then we're going to wish for Walking Ballista, I think. Or I could get Engineered Explosives. But Engineered Explosives with Thalia actually gets kind of tough. Now we get a Walking Ballista, play Crumbling Vestige, untap it, add green, play Grazer, put Cavern into play, name Construct, untap it, then play Ballista on 1. Playing around, I don't know, double Mana Tithe, pass the turn. If Walking Ballista survives, we can start pinging down every threat, starting with Thalia. My opponent is playing a Core, Skyclave Apparition. See what they target. Probably Karn. Yup, it's Karn. Opponent passes. Well, they could attack with Thalia. So they attack. Yeah. I think my opponent missing that land drop is really going to hurt them. I have just enough mana to activate Ballista twice, so I'm going to. We're going to name Giant. And the reason that I'm going to do this is I'm going to lose the ability to ping a few things if I don't. We're going to kill Champion, and we're going to kill Noble Hierarch. If my opponent plays Thalia's Lieutenant, or if they play another way to protect Thalia from Ballista, I may consider pinging Thalia immediately. It's not hypercritical, so I'm not going to at the moment. I guess I should really evaluate if I have to do that or not, but my opponent has top decked 2 lands for 2 turns. Alright, opponent goes to combat. Attacks, attacks. Block here. Okay, we take 2. Three mana. They play a Skyclave Apparition. They're going to take out Ballista, so Ballista is going to kill Thalia. We untap. Draw Castle Garenbrig. We play it because it's a land with a different name, and I think holding on to Dryad, well, it stops our opponent from attacking. I guess if they have a path or another Skyclave Apparition, that's fine, but... I mean, it's not fine, it's less than ideal. Any land other than the ones that we have on the board right now can start making zombies. Okay, my opponent plays an Aether Vial. It's kind of like humans plus Skyclave Apparition, I guess, is what's going on right now. Alright, opponent plays a Thalia. If we draw Titan or Summoner's Pact, it's over. We draw a Simic Growth Chamber, which does not help. Pass the turn. Yeah, I think what I'm going to try to do is keep a way to get Titan. So keep a Summoner's Pact or a Primeval Titan basically in any hand. Any hand that has it and has like lands to cast other spells, I think I should keep. I don't think I should be keeping hands without a way to find or play a Titan. Even if I'm like a little bit of mana short, I think that's what we got to be doing. So my opponent does not attack. They crack Horizon Canopy to draw. They play a Noble, and then they pass. We untap. We draw Prime Time. Play a Primeval Titan. We're going to get Valakut Vesuva, then play Growth Chamber twice and kill them. Alright. So versus Death and Taxes-y humans, I think we're bringing in Dismember. I don't think I want Rexage even for Aether Vial, which means I probably don't want Force of Vigor. Tireless Tracker could be okay. I think I'm going to cut an Ancient Stirrings and... oof, I don't know, a land maybe? I think with as delicate as this mana base is, I'm not going to cut... I'm going to cut another Ancient Stirrings. I'm not going to cut a land. Because I don't have the greatest understanding of, like, how many copies of certain lands went in the deck, or, you know, what the design decisions behind that was. So I'm hesitant to modify the mana base. Well, we have a bounce land, but no real way to take advantage of this. We have a Dismember. I think this is worth a mulligan. Alright. We have Castle Garenbrig and an Ancient Stirrings, so I'm going to put back Karn of all things here. Radiant Fountain gaining us life can offset a little bit of the damage that we take. Maybe help keep us alive a little bit longer. Alright, opponent starts Aether Vial. We untap, we draw Slayer's Stronghold, Ancient Stirrings. I'll take Boros Garrison, I guess. Rest to the bottom. Pass the turn. Opponent upticks Aether Vial. We play an Ancient Ziggurat. We untap. Draw Grazer. So we can play... like Castle Garenbrig, play Grazer, put Garrison into play, and pick up our Forest, I guess. Pass the turn. I'm just doing this so I don't accidentally play Garenbrig as a tap land. Opponent plays another Ancient Ziggurat. White, red, red. Magus of the Moon. Well, I guess that's terrible news. We draw an Explorer, so play a Forest. I don't know if I have another Forest. Oh, I do. Okay. Well, we're gonna wait to play that Forest until it's our 6th land, is what I'm trying to say. My opponent goes to combat, does not attack. They do attack. Are they gonna violate a core to stop us from blocking? Or something to pump there. Oh, General Kudrow. Okay. Sacrifice 2 humans, destroy a creature with power 4 or greater. That generally means Primeval Titan. I mean, if we had a way to destroy that Aether Vial... Okay, play Dryad. Our mana is currently Rainbow. Pass the turn. I'm hiding this other Forest because I've got some feeling that my opponent has some other way to disrupt mana. Like, not like they maybe have Fulminator Mages in the side or something like that, but they could have Avalanche Riders, I suppose. Opponent Vials in a 3-drop. It's Reflector Mage. The Bounce Dryads say we can't replay it. Exile Explorer. Then they're going to attack us for 6. Well, next turn we can at least play Primeval Titan, thin our deck a bit. Not being able to do anything about Magus kind of sucks. And my opponent will be able to sack humans to kill Primeval Titan at least. Yep, take 6, go to 14. We untap, draw Cavern. Play Primeval Titan. Primeval Titan, probably not long for this world. Let's take a look here. I have another Forest. Kind of want to get Field of the Dead and Valakut. Because if I do draw Dismember, which I cannot tutor for in any way, as far as I know. Yeah, let's get these 2 things. Because it makes Dismember like the highest value, I think. Opponent untaps. I suspect they violin another human and then sack Reflector Mage in that human and get in for 6 again, taking us to 8. Okay, Reflector Mage, pouncing Primeval Titan, fun. They don't even have to sack humans, they can hit us for 9 here, and we're gonna go to 5. It's basically Dismember or Bust. And even with Dismember, there's no guarantee we survive because we'd be going to 1. Okay, Karn. Karn can get us Walking Ballista, or it can get us Ensnaring Bridge. Play Dryad. It could also get us Engineered Explosives, putting that on 3. Well, we can't, because we only have green or red, so that's not really an option. Play Cavern. Play Karn. If I get Ensnaring Bridge, though, and my opponent just has the core, we're done. Oh, no, they can't, because they can't play the core. They won't be able to Aether Vial with a Karn on board. Perfect. Absolutely calculated. Oh, geez, I completely peaked the mic. My bad. Not sure what that was. Still learning to use the new setup. Alright. We draw another forest. Play the forest. Let's go ahead and wish. Get a big Walking Ballista. Pass the turn. This does give my opponent a sack outlet for Magus, if they want it. But as long as I kill Magus on their end step, they can't play anything this turn. Alright, opponent scoops it up. We win the match. Sweet. I'll see you guys in round 3. Alrighty. Round 3, here we go. No way to play Ancient Stirrings on turn 1 or turn 2. This hand seems way too slow, even though it's got like some good lands in it, I guess, but this strikes me as a don't do anything until turn 3 hand, and that's generally pretty bad in the modern format, so we're gonna mulligan. Alright, depending on what my opponent is playing, this hand could actually be good. I'm gonna try keeping it, but we have to start by Vesuva-ing whatever land our opponent plays. Put back 1 Primeval Titan. Okay. Play green. Yes! That counts. Okay, we draw a Rot Farm. Vesuva Gemstone Mine. Pass the turn. Alright. Opponent untaps. It's probably Ad Nauseam. Oh, you know what it is? It's Trickery. Alright, here we go. Spin the wheel. Which version are we playing? The Brilliant Ultimatum version? Okay, opponent hits Ardent Plea, so they get a respin. Trickery Ardent Plea. Ulamog. Fun! Do we have any way we can counter that? Nope. I don't think so. I can bring in Ghost Quarter over like a forest, maybe. But we don't really have the way to... we don't have any way to counter this deck in this deck. So I think... because of the prevalence of Tybalt's Trickery decks, I think it's going to be important to have some kind of duress in the sideboard and probably splash black a little bit harder. I think for this deck, anyway. Alright, we get to play first. Well, we do have a Crumbling Vestige, and we can Ancient Stirrings for a land, so I'm going to keep. Alright. So start Crumbling Vestige, add green. Ancient Stirrings. Oh, they revealed Chancellor. I wasn't even paying attention. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, like, we basically still had to do the same thing. But what I should have done there was I should have thrown Summoner's Pact into the Chancellor trigger. Man, they make that trigger hard to see. I think it's time to play Pitch Control or, like, Smallpox versus this deck. Alright, well, we need green mana, and we didn't get it. So... play a tap land, pass the turn. Opponent plays a Mana Confluence, reveals Simian Spirit Guide, is going to spin the wheel. Well, they could Trickery into a Simian Spirit Guide, or they could Trickery into a Trickery and fizzle. But they don't. That's game. Wow, that's fun magic. Really hope that deck gets banned, because I don't care how inconsistent it is, it shouldn't exist. Round 4, here we go. But Kano, you made content on it. Yes, because I needed to appease the magic algorithms, but I'm not making any more on it. Alright. This hand seems reasonable. We're going to keep. We do only have a tapped green source, so we need to be aware. Okay, my opponent mulligan to 5. Opponent starts Copperline Gourd. We untap. We draw an Amulet. Okay. Play Castle Garen break, pass the turn. Watch my opponent be playing Trickery. Nope, it's Dredge. Okay. They do have a Stinkweed Imp, so it is a big Dredge to start with. They only hit Creeping Chill, though, which is not a good initial Dredge. Now it depends on whether or not my opponent has another Haggle, or if they have a Cathartic Reunion. If they do, potentially their Dredge is going to be huge. If they don't, they're going to be doing nothing for quite a while. We draw Ancient Stirrings, so play Amulet of Vigor. Vesuva Stomping Ground. We will not pay 2 life. So Amulet untaps Stomping Ground. Then we play Grazer, putting Garrison into play, untapping it, and bouncing our Vesuva. Pass the turn. This allows me to get more green mana if I need to. It can act as a bounce land by cloning Garrison. We could play Karn and get like a Tormod script and then just, or a Relic, and then just completely stop them from dredging. Opponent plays a Shriekhorn. That must have been their top deck, otherwise they would have played it last turn. They do they do mill a Stinkweed Imp. So we untap. We draw another Amulet. Okay. So start by playing Amulet. Oh, I did that wrong. I needed to tap Garrison because I needed green mana after the fact. Hang on, can I still salvage this? Yeah, I can do some broken stuff. Copy Garrison. I just have to play Karn after the fact rather than play Azusa, which means we're Azusa, sorry. Sorry, Six Sigma. I know you're probably yelling at me. So play Karn. Wish with Karn. We will get a Tormod script. Play Tormod script. And pass the turn. So we will wait until our opponent gets a good value Dredge, when a bunch of stuff will be coming back. It does leave Dredge cards in their hand if that happens, but we can prevent... they can't activate Shriekhorn here, but we're only letting them have a 1/1 we can block and a Lightning Helix, so I'm not too worried. We're just going to let this happen. Now, if my opponent had revealed like a bunch of Amalgams or Bloodghasts or something like that, I would have cracked Tormod script here, but that's not what happened. Our opponent's hand is pretty anemic, so... Next turn, we're going to do some pretty nasty shenanigans. The plan thus far is to Vesuva, copying Boros Garrison, making a bunch of mana, bouncing Vesuva, Summoner's Pacting for Titan, playing Azusa, then getting more mana for Boros Garrison, and then more mana for green to actually cast Titan. We untap, we draw a Primeval Titan, so I guess that technically makes it easier. So start by playing Azusa, copy Garrison, untap it, float mana, untap it, float mana, bounce it. So I can play 2 additional lands, which means play Vesuva, copy Garrison, untap it, float mana, untap it, float mana, bounce it. Then play Vesuva, copying Stomping Ground. We will not pay 2 life. Untap it, float mana, untap it, float mana. Play Primeval Titan. We're going to go get Slayer's Stronghold and Sunhome. So untap, float mana, untap, untap, float mana, untap. Activate Slayer Stronghold. Activate Sunhome. Go to combat. Attack for a lot. We will use its ability. And then we are going to get Valakut and Field. Get some zombies. If I still had a Vesuva in the deck and was using a different bounce land to start, I could have killed my opponent by activating Slayer Stronghold twice, or getting another Slayer Stronghold, or doing all kinds of stuff like that. So we hit our opponent for a lot, and then we're just going to wish for Relic of Progenitus and close this game out. Play Relic. Alright, opponent scoops it up. I have to take a quick break, and then I will do sideboarding really quick. Okay, so versus Dredge. Bog's coming in, probably over a basic forest. And really, I guess the other Grave Hate stays in the side for the Wishboard, but run it back. Well, we have Bog. We have a bounce land, and we have an amulet, so I think I keep. So hopefully my opponent puts some cards in grave, but does not get any value out of them to start. So they start Bloodstained Mire, they fetch up a Stomping Ground, probably a Haggle or a Shriekhorn. Okay. Draw Talaria West, so I'm going to go Wooded Foothills into an amulet here. Pass the turn. Opponent mills a Creeping Chill and a Cathartic Reunion. They untap. They mill a Narcomoeba. Nothing too big yet. So they might be on like a land cast loam play here, at which point Bog becomes good. Well, good enough anyway. If they have a third Cathartic Reunion in hand, that would be bad for us. Ancient Grudge on Amulet. Well, that's not particularly bad. Play an Ancient Stirrings. Get a Growth Chamber. Might as well Bog our opponent. Pass the turn. Blood Moon. Okay, that's actually pretty bad. I did not bring in Enchantment Destruction. Like, the matchup's not unwinnable, but especially not with Karn in our deck. Pass the turn. Alright, opponent plays a Mountain. Attacks us for 1. Sure, we go down to 14. Untap. Draw Rot Farm. Play Growth Chamber. Play Karn. Wish. Get a Tormod's Crypt. Play Crypt. I suppose my opponent could have another Ancient Stirrings, but we could still take out an Amalgam if they did. They seem to be pretty dead in the water right now. Okay, they play a Stomping Ground. We go to combat. They attack Karn. This is fine. Conflagrate X2, that is actually not fine. It gives them a big discard outlet. In fact, so much so that I'm tempted to activate Crypt right now. Okay, we draw Sunhome. So play Rot Farm. Pass the turn. Alright, well, we're going to let them have the discard outlet. I think we still have to only crack Tormod's Crypt at the first sign of a bunch of graveyard triggers. Like, generally allowing your opponent to dredge is okay, but it's not allowing the results of the dredge to gain value that wins you the game. When you have onboard Grave Hate like Crypt. Obviously, if my opponent Ancient Grudges, I have to activate it, but we draw an Amulet, play an Amulet, play a Sunhome, pass the turn. We'll either need to draw another green source, and by that I mean another basic forest, a Dryad, or another Karn. Okay. Opponent attacks us for 1, we go to 12. We untap, draw Castle Garenbrig, play a Radiant Fountain, pass the turn. Opponent untaps. Alright, it's a Conflagrate, pitching 3 cards, dealing 3 damage to us. And they're going to play a land to try and reanimate Bloodghast, so now we have to nuke the grave. Opponent has no cards in hand and is once again top decking, but they have a 1/1, and we are on a 9-turn clock. The only downside to not doing something like that sooner is that my opponent did get the additional damage from Conflagrate. Pass the turn. They hit us for 1, we go to 7, we untap. We draw an Explorer, which is a redraw. There's our other forest. So play a land, play a land. We're going to hide this forest for a turn. And then our opponent will be on a 3-turn clock, and we'll be on a 6-turn clock unless they get a Cathartic Reunion or another Conflagrate. At which point we're probably dead. Opponent hits us for 1. We go to 6. Ox. That is also bad. Opponent pitches Prized Amalgam, because now Prime Time is not enough. Opponent plays a land, and they're still holding 2 cards. Oh, okay, they have a Forgotten Cave. They cycle. And they play a Shriekhorn. That's bad. We untap. We draw Grazer. Play a Forest. Play Titan. Titan gets us a Forest and a Field, even though Field doesn't really do anything. We're holding on to Talaria West because if we get a Dryad, we can transmute for a Summoner's Pact, which would let us play a Titan again. We're not putting anything into play with Grazer. Pass the turn. Grazer can block Narcobiba, so that part of the danger is gone, but my opponent will have Hasty Bloodghasts and has actually started the Dredge again. So this game is probably lost because they can just Dredge Loam. Well, they can't cast Loam, I guess. I was going to say they could just Dredge Loam and then play a land, but they can't cast Loam unless they're holding a basic forest, and if they're holding a basic forest, I think we're just dead. If they find a single Creeping Chill, I think we're dead. If they find a Conflagrate, we're dead. We're dead so many ways. Plus, we can't even pressure our opponent unless we top deck another Titan or a Summoner's Pact, so that we have blockers. Okay. Play a Windswept Teeth. Pass the turn. I mean, I could technically attack and thin my deck, but opponent untaps. We're probably going to mill. They mill a Stinkweed Imp. It's going to be a big dredge. They had an Ancient Grudge, which they can't cast and doesn't really help them. Well, at least we know they're not drawing lands, because they're dredging. Alright, opponent attacks with Ox. They have plenty of cards in grave to reanimate it. I'm pretty sure that kills us outright if they do, which means I actually have to chump here. We untap. We draw another Grazer, go to combat, attack with Prime Time, basically just to get lands out of our deck. Not sure it matters what we pick. Okay, opponent no blocks, takes 6, goes to 12. Play Grazer. Okay. No Talaria West. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps, probably dredges Imp. There's a Creeping Chill. We are now at 3. We are dead to a land. We are dead to another Creeping Chill. We are dead to another Conflagrate. And my opponent is one more whole attack out of reach. Okay, jump here. Ancient Stirrings. Karn. I guess technically Explore is not a totally dead draw. But that is... I technically have one more turn, but I'm just going to scoop it up. Alright, my opponent is playing Blood Moon, which means I probably want Force of Vigor and Rex Sage in the deck, which means I'm going to cut a Stirrings and a random... I think Talaria West is our least useful land here. Run it back. Alright, game 3. I would like to play first. Well, we have Explore, we have Amulet, and we have 2 Titans, plus we have a Dryad, so we're going to go for it. If we draw a bounce land, this hand is pretty good. Start Forest, Vigor, pass the turn. Another big problem I've noticed when I play this deck is I tend to play out bounce lands and then bounce non-bounce lands when holding a bounce land in hand and not having mana on board is actually advantageous sometimes. So that's something I need to be aware of. Play Castle Garenbrig, and then we'll Explore. Can we get a Rot Farm? I'm just going to hold it in hand, I think. Because playing it out, bouncing it, playing a Dryad would allow me to play it out again, bounce it, play a Dryad, then we could play it out and actually then just bounce it, I guess. Because then the next turn we could play it 3 times into a Primeval Titan. So this is exactly what I was talking about. Where I was like, hey, you know, Kano's kind of dumb and doesn't hold bounce lands when he should. So, alright, never mind. We lose our Amulet of Vigor, which is kind of a big deal. Now I regret not playing out the Rot Farm, and I think I have to now. So, bounce Castle Garenbrig, pass the turn. Now if my opponent plays a Blood Moon, we're in a similar situation to last game. I think my plan of not playing the Growth Chamber to the Explorer was still correct. Because if my opponent had a Cathartic Reunion or something instead, we still would have had a pretty crazy turn 3. And it's Blood Moon. It's always Blood Moon. Gross. Anyway. Well, we draw an Ancient Stirrings. Play Castle Garenbrig. Play Dryad. So at least all of our lands are now Rainbow lands. They don't have any other text on them, but they are Rainbow lands. My opponent is locked on only red mana. So no casting Loam or other stuff like that. No flashing back Ancient Grudge. Not that it matters. If we draw a land, we're going to play Karn. If we don't, we're going to play Ancient Stirrings, probably. So it looks like Cathartic Reunion. Okay, they pitch Narcomoeba and Stinkweed Imp, dredging into a Narcomoeba and a Bloodghast. And it doesn't look like anything else. They did bring in Pithing Needle, so they could Pithing Needle our Gravehade or Karn. They cycle Forgotten Cave to dredge a little bit deeper, finding a second Narcomoeba, and this will allow them to get back a prized Amalgam. Alright, not a bad plan. Okay. They have a Conflagrate. We draw Talaria West, so play Talaria West. Play Karn. We're going to wish for Tormod's Crypt and use it immediately. The logic here being we don't want them to cast Conflagrate. I don't think they have any Dredgers left, but they do have a Bloodghast, and we don't want them to play a land, because playing a land requires priority and nothing else, and we wouldn't be able to respond to them playing a land. Well, I guess we could respond to the trigger, but yeah, I'm just going to do this now. They can attack and take Karn to 1. Pass the turn. We're going to use Dryad to block prized Amalgam. Alright. I would like to draw another Karn. When it goes to combat, swings with everything at Karn. Chump here. The only way this goes wrong is if my opponent has a Conflagrate in hand, they can cast X1. If that was the case, then I shouldn't have blocked. But we have another Dryad, so it's not the end of the world. We draw Summoner's Pact. So let's start with an Ancient Stirrings. Any land here is good. Rest of the bottom. Play a land. Oop. Play Dryad. Uptick Karn. They still have to attack him with 2 Narcomoebas next turn. We could double block the Amalgam if we thought we needed to. If we can cast a Primeval Titan and then cast, like, we just need to get to 6 mana while retaining 1 Dryad, because that means we're going to have the green mana to cast our Prime Times. And then just, like, 6 mana, 6/6s. What are that? Colossal Dreadmaw or Crawworm or whatever it is going to be enough to beat our opponent down. So my opponent did draw up to 8 cards, meaning they will be discarding a card at the end step, probably a Dredger. I could Summoner's Pact for... Okay, they're going to haggle. Discarding Stinkweed Imp, hitting a Creeping Chill. I could Summoner's Pact for Reclamation Sage, taking out Blood Moon. And that would leave me with 3 mana. If I draw... I'm not sure what I could draw that would make that actually good. We draw Dryad, number 3. I took out a basic forest. Why did I take out a basic forest? What possessed me to do that? Bog? Yeah, that wasn't right. Oh, but the problem is, if I Summoner's Pact and my opponent casts another Blood Moon, we are actually in huge trouble because layering would prevent me from paying for Summoner's Pact, and then we'd lose if I did that. So I'm not going to do that. For those of you that don't know, in terms of Dryad and Blood Moon, whichever one was played most recently takes precedence. So actually, I shouldn't have played out that last Dryad at all. My opponent dredges into a Narcomoeba, which gets back a Stinkweed, or gets back a Prized Amalgam at end step. Basically, I'd like to draw land and start casting as many Primeval Titans as I possibly can. Alright, there's a 3rd Blood Moon, so it's unlikely that my opponent will be able to cast another Blood Moon for the layering issue to be a problem, but I still think unlocking my opponent's mana is very dangerous. They attack us for 2, we go down to 15. I mean, it would be different if we had multiple Primeval Titans attacking, then yeah, I could take out the Blood Moon and get a bunch of value off of a Valakut to kill my opponent or something. Wow, okay. Pass the turn, I guess. This sucks. My opponent dredges. They did find a Conflagrate, which is 7 damage. This probably means that we're dead. If I can draw... No, if I had an Amulet, I could draw Bounce Land, and then we could do some nasty stuff, but... I'm pretty sure my opponent just Conflagrates for everything. Okay, they're going to discard and dredge. They find an Ox and an Ancient Grudge. It's too bad we can't mill them. They only have 6 cards left in their deck. Okay, opponent is either casting Ox or Conflagrate, and I imagine it's Conflagrate. If they discard 6 cards and leave a land in hand, they could get back multiple Bloodghasts, but Porter just retreated to the basement. I need to get another little webcam so I can have a Porter cam. Alright, opponent attacks us for 3 in the air. We're going down to 5. We know Force of Negation is not a possible top deck because I dumped it to the bottom with Ancient Stirrings. We untap and finally draw a land. So play Radiant Fountain, we don't gain any life. This may not be enough, depending on what my opponent does. Actually, I think they just dredge a Creeping Chill and we're dead. Because they have suspiciously few in their graveyard and exile zone, and they only have 5 cards left in their deck. So I actually don't think it matters what we grab here, but... if we were to somehow survive the next turn, we could win. But considering my opponent can just activate Merchant of the Veil and dredge literally the rest of their deck, that's probably good enough. Unless they took out the Creeping Chills for Blood Moons, which I highly doubt, because why would you take out free Lightning Helixes? But I guess we're going to find out. Like 99.5% chance we're dead here. Oh no, we're totally dead, because they can just attack on board. They'll have enough attackers. Yeah. Okay. That sucks. But it's life. Alright, I'll see you guys in round 5. Alrighty, here we go, round 5. Ancient Stirrings, if it finds us a bounce land or a Amulet, could be a very good hand, so I'm going to keep this. Okay, I'm going to start Seachrome Coast, which tells me this is either blue-white taxes, ad nauseum, or spirits. Alright, we're going to take Growth Chamber, rest of the bottom, any order. Pass the turn. We could have taken an untapped land there to cast an Explorer next turn, and basically would have ended up on the same amount of mana, I think. Okay, it looks like taxes. Oh, nope, it's ad nauseum. Alright, we untap. We draw Amulet. Play Amulet. Play Growth Chamber. Untap it. Float mana. Question is, which land do we bounce? We're casting Explore. I think we actually bounce the Forest here. So we cast Explore. We get an Ancient Stirrings. Let's play Vesuva, copy Growth Chamber, untap it, float mana, bounce Vesuva, Explore, we get a Karn. Okay, now I'm going to play Forest, and I'm going to cast Ancient Stirrings. Because if I get another Amulet, we can go really crazy. Alright. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. Plays a Gemstone Mine. They are a Simian Spirit Guide away from comboing off. Blue, Thassa's Oracle. Okay. If we can land a Karn, we can deny them from using... There's absolutely no reason to play those spells out in that order. I mean, they can, because if we responded to like the Thassa's Oracle trigger killing it, they could have spoils in response. But really, they don't gain anything by playing the spells that way. But my opponent does have the victory, so... Okay. I don't think Ad Nauseam is a good matchup for us. We are going to bring in Force of Vigor as well as Dismember. Actually, Dismember doesn't really do anything. I'll bring in Rexage, though. I'm going to cut a basic land, and I'm going to cut an Ancient Stirrings, and we're going to try it like this. Alright, we'll play first. Well, I kind of like the Force of Vigor here. We can Grazer out a quick Growth Chamber, or at least another land, I guess. Alright, we're going to keep. Force of Vigor potentially buys us time by hitting Artifact Mana or Phyrexian Unlife. It doesn't necessarily win, so I don't think I'm going to rely on it, but... So, get a basic Forest, play Grazer. And I think I am going to put Growth Chamber into play. If I had an Amulet, I would put a different land into play and then look to do some big Azusa plays, but that's not the case, so that's not what we're doing. Opponent untaps, plays a Seachrome Coast, passes the turn, we untap, we draw Field, so play Forest, play Azusa, play Field, play Castle, pass the turn. We're actually in the hardcast Force territory. This is kind of funny. Alright, opponent suspends Lotus Bloom, which is a type of artifact mana that if they have the combo and enough mana, it doesn't matter if we have artifact removal. We draw a Valakut, so play Valakut, play Wooded Foothills. Go to combat, attack for 1. Okay, opponent goes down to 19, we pass. They untap, Lotus Bloom ticking down. They play a Murkwater Pathway. And it looks like they're going to have it. We draw an Amulet, which doesn't really help here, but we're going to play it out anyway. Go to combat, attack for 1. So generally, the way you want to beat Ad Nauseam, especially if you're playing a deck like Amulet Titan, you want to have a fast combo when they're waiting on something like Lotus Bloom to pressure them into having to blow like an Angel's Grace as a combo piece to delay them from actually comboing. And I am going to thin my deck here. Get a Breeding Pool, tapped, untap it. Okay, we draw Groll Turf. So play Groll Turf, make a zombie, untap it, float mana, bounce Groll Turf, replay it, make a zombie. But this is too slow. I needed to basically be doing this last turn or the turn before. Okay, make a zombie, bounce Groll Turf. Okay. Go to combat, attack for 1. There's also a bit of bad luck that our opponent did have the 4-mana combo game 1. It's a lot faster than having the actual full 6-mana Angel's Grace Ad Nauseam combo. Alright, we are going to do this. Pretty sure this is not going to work out for us, but a man can dream. Like, they could just sack it for black mana Angel's Grace Ad Nauseam and pick up their whole deck here. The only thing that would have worked here is if I had had a Krosan Grip, which doesn't generally get played in Modern, but... Alright, they got it. Well, that was a disappointing league, but I'm trying to get back into the swing of things, so hopefully I can play better next time. I have not done Amulet Titan a very good show yet. This deck is way better than I show it off to be, and I have just not got the capacity to play at full strength today. But first day back, you know what? I think it's fine, and I will see you guys. I have to get, I'm like used to looking up here for the camera, used to looking over here for the camera. Camera's here. So I will see you guys in the next video. If you like this video, please leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel if you're so inclined, and remember you can follow me on Twitch. Same username over there as you find me on here. I stream Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, though the last few have been earlier. And yeah, I hope to see you there. You're all wonderful human beings, and thanks for watching. Bye!